Howdy, howdy, everybody, and welcome back to Stranded Deep in Conversation, where I talk about things that happen in my life, or things that have happened, or things yet to come, and you sit and listen like a good person would. A few things. I am fighting off a cold or something, so just bear with me. I might cough, I'm gonna be sniffly. It's okay. I'm fine. Also my mouth kind of hurts, so just bear with me. Syllables may not sound like they make sense, and that's okay. Sometimes they don't have to, you know? But yeah, happy to be here. I apologize for the last couple of days, where I was not live or anything, because I was supposed to be. I was going to be. I had a whole plan for it. But, as you can tell by the title, I have a little bit of a story with that. Not like a bigger, and it's not even a bigger story. I'll just tell you now. Internet was broken. I don't know why. I don't understand it. But I'll talk about it a little more after. This week in retail, baby. Here we go. So, it started pretty tame. First 3 days, I didn't write anything down. Nothing too crazy to worry about. Sunday, that was a bit crazy. Sunday was a wild day. I was chatting up my coworker, just having a good time. I was like fake selling her on a wireless charging pad because there was I found like 40 of them in the back. I was like, we don't need these. I don't know why we have these. No one buys these. So I brought them up. I was just like, I might as well just get rid of them. So, but they were just standing up there, and I was like, oh yeah, dude, come on, don't you want to buy like 8 of these? Let me tell you about them. There's all these great things. Not so important, because in the middle of that, I was helping a customer. And this customer, once I was done, I was turned back to my coworker to keep selling them on the thing, when they were all like, not that. They're all like, sorry, I just feel a little lightheaded right now. And we both stop, we turn, and we're like, do you need something? Do you need help? And so, I grabbed the water, she grabbed the stool. The lady sat on the stool. She got up to take a sip of water. She took a sip of water and promptly fucking passed the hell out and started fainting backwards. And thankfully, my coworker was behind them, so they were able to, pick them up, make sure everything was all good. They didn't like fucking hit their head or something. Thank goodness. But yeah, there's a lot more to that story, but it's not my story to tell. I'm not gonna go in depth about this person. With their problems and everything like that. Just know that the next day they came back. Ultimately, we called an ambulance. They went with the ambulance. The next day they came back. They were saying they were fine. They're grateful that we were able to help them out and stuff. So everything turned out good. It was just a wild time because it was very unexpected. They went from just silly jokes, haha, to this lady might be dying on our floor. I have no idea. I can't honestly tell you. But they didn't, and they weren't, and they aren't. So, yay them. I hope they're doing good. I know they're doing good. Well, I know they're doing better. Not necessarily good, but hopefully it means better. But yeah. Thank goodness they didn't hit their head or anything. That was the main thing I was worried about. I think most of us were worried about, to be honest. But yeah. So, fun time. Fun day Sunday, as everyone knows. And then this is the weirdest thing. So, like, DoorDash is a thing, obviously. Everyone knows DoorDash, Uber Eats, I don't even know. Do Uber Eats do, like, non-restaurants? I have no idea. Probably. I feel like I've maybe ordered with Uber Eats without a non-restaurant once or twice. I have no idea. But some person came in with DoorDash on Sunday, like, after this all happened, and was all like, ooga booga, I need this item. I don't even remember what it was. But they had one item in their hand, they needed one more item, and I looked around, and it wasn't in stock. We didn't have it. It said we had it, but we didn't have it. It happens, whatever. So the guy's like, okay, well, let me ask about a substitute. I'm going to hop outside and call them, be right back in. And I'm like, okay, sounds fair. So I can sit there, waiting for them to shut up again. Sorry, I have my finger in my mouth. But yeah, they didn't ultimately come back in. I'm like, okay, whatever. They didn't want to do it. Whatever, it's fine. I don't really care too much. About an hour later, somebody else, completely different person, comes up to me with the exact same item that this guy had in his hand before, and he's like, hey, I need help looking for this item. And he shows me his phone, and it's the exact same item that the other guy was looking for. So the dude just hard bailed on the request. And it took the guy like an hour to get it again, which is sucks for the guy who ordered it. Sucks for everybody. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened. Because again, we still didn't have it. But what I at first I thought that the guy did call, and then they were like, I don't want it, just cancel the order. And then they canceled the order. Apparently, the first guy didn't call him at all, because the guy was just like, the guy who messaged them, were like, would this work as a substitute? And they were like, yeah, of course, thank you. And it happened, and they got it, and everything was fine. So I don't know what the hell happened there, the first guy, but he was probably just too lazy and didn't feel like doing it. I don't know. But all in all, fun day Sunday. Revenge. A fun day. It was great. It was awful, actually. It was a pretty weird day. Pretty interesting day. Then Monday rolled around. Monday was cool. Monday, the only thing I have written down is just fucking hilarious. Is someone was trying to make things, and we get online, like, photo orders, and someone was ordering 7 posters. And it's like, it happens, people get a lot of posters, especially during the holidays, deals and whatever. It happens. I'm not too crazy about it, but whatever. I mean, making 7 posters, I apologize. And they were all Hank from Breaking Bad. In different poses, in different scenes. I don't understand why, but they just really liked Hank from Breaking. It was Hank specifically. And it was fucking hilarious, because I see these posters, I see my coworker, getting them ready, and I'm like, oh shit, there's, a couple it's like, oh god, it's Hank from Breaking Bad, Walter, and then I looked at a printer, and there's more, and it's more of him and his cool guy stance and poses. There was one of him and Walter just, sharing a beer or something, I don't remember, but it was fucking crazy. It was hilarious, because it was literally just, it was, dead of night, too. We were about to get ready to close, and someone's like, oh, we gotta make posters. And it's like, oh, we gotta, oh my god, Walter. That's not even him. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm thinking of Jonathan Banks, Mike, there we go. Can't remember his character name for a second there. But yeah. And then Tuesday was the day I felt sick. Tuesday was the day where I was finally kicking in my boots. I was like, shit, I feel awful. This is the worst. My throat hurty. My nose is kind of congested and hurty. My eyes hurty, my head hurty, everything hurty. And so what one of my coworkers decided to do was try to be nice. They tried to make me a tea. And let me tell you, it was not a pleasant experience. Because for those of you who don't know, I don't like drinking anything that's not water. Anything that you could possibly hand me that isn't a water beverage, not a fan. Especially if it feels like it should be water, such as tea. There's no carbonation with tea. I hate carbonation. It's one of the worst things in the world. But I like water because it's not carbonated. And when you hit me with tea, which is also not carbonated, my brain immediately is like, oh, I'm just drinking water. I love water. Water is my favorite. Dude, I freaking love water. But then it comes to the point where it's flavored. And it's like, oh, I hate this. Why? This isn't water. This is like someone put some grunky shit in my water. I don't want this. And I hate it, explosively. The tea in question was a lemon ginger tea with honey in it. And they said honey is a good thing for congestion, it'll clear up your throat or whatever. I don't fucking know. Honestly, it's a mystery at this point what honey does, at least for me, because I didn't look it up or anything. My coworker did all the work, and they were like, hey, make you some tea. And they made me tea, and I go to take a sip, and holy shit, it's hot. And of course it was hot. It just came out, but I didn't think too much of it because people like my fucking family will just chug coffee from right off the pot. So it's okay, hot is how it's supposed to be drank. So I drink, and I'm like, ooh, hot, and I spit it all over myself, and I get it all over myself. I'm like, oh, that's fucking hot, and I don't really get to taste of the flavor. And I'm like, oh yeah, well it's hot. I mean, shadoy. And I'm like, oh yeah, fair enough. So then I'm walking around the store trying to drink this fucking tea. And I'm not kidding. 8 or 9 times of me, 8 or 9 times I try to sip this coffee. Not coffee, it's tea. I try to sip this tea, and it's still too damn hot, so I spill it on myself. Like, this happened like almost 10 times. I spilled hot tea on myself, and it was a fucking mess. I spit it all out. I was like, hot, ooh. It was fucking awful. And then eventually, it's not hot enough where I can finally take a sip. Like, it's still pretty hot because in my brain, the only reason I kept doing this is because in my brain, I'm like, oh, I want to drink it while it's hot. It's a hot beverage. You're supposed to drink a hot beverage when it's hot, right? So I'm constantly just forcing myself to sip this, refusing to let it cool down or like blow on it or anything. I'm a fucking idiot. Eventually, it becomes the point where I can kind of manage to get a tiny sip into my mouth, and that's when I discover the flavor of this fucking thing. And holy shit, it is not. I mean, okay, it's not great. It's not terrible. I'm not that big of a lemon liquid person. I don't like lemonade, especially because especially the chunks. I fucking hate chunks in my my drinks. I almost said my water, which is another true point. But yeah, and with tea, it just feels like I'm drinking water that's just grossly flavored, or just flavored different than water. So my brain immediately is like, oh god, this isn't water. Spit it out, get it out of my mouth immediately. Oh my god, this is the most horrible thing in the world. Why would you submit me to this? Please help, help, help. To which I don't. I take a sip, and I'm like, oh my god, that's strange flavor. And over the course of the next, like, 10 minutes, I'm, like, slowly taking, like, a little bit more sips. And at some point, I start realizing, oh, this is starting to get a little cooler than I feel like a hot beverage should be, which was still kind of hot, but, like, cool enough to where I was, like, able to actually put it in my mouth and let it sit for, like, a second or two. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So what I do is I go into the break room, and I take a break. And this whole break is literally just 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes of me sitting there, taking a sip, taking like a decent swig of this tea. I stop, I shudder a little, I down it, I shed a tear or two, not even kidding, and I do it again. And I wash, rinse, repeat until the last sip. It's not even that big of a cup. It's like a standard like paper coffee cup. I churned through that in like 10 minutes. It was pain, it was agony, it was misery. The last sip was a pretty big one. I was like, I want this to be it. So I put it in my mouth, I get it all in there, and that's when I was looking at the cup too. I noticed the tea bag, I noticed all the weird shit inside of it, because it's like, and then my brain immediately thinks dirty water, and it wants to spit it up. I'm like, I had to hold back a gag from drinking tea. I had to hold back a gag from my throat, because my brain did not want to accept that this was just tea and it's a thing that exists. So I hold it back. I'm like, it's fine. It's tea. Just drink it. And I chug that thing down in one gulp. And holy crap, I have never felt so awful drinking something in my entire life. It was agony. Because, and again, the tea was fine. It was okay. I wouldn't drink it again because it's not water. But that's besides the point. It was okay. But my brain and how it thinks tea works would not put it into a situation where I could drink it and be satisfied. Because I feel like if you let it cool down for a little bit, then you could drink it. But in my head, I'm like, I don't want it to be cool. It's supposed to be a hot beverage, so I can't fucking wait. I have to drink it now. And goddamn, that was the worst thing in the world. Because I like taking my time. Like when I first drank like alcohol, I took my sweet ass time with it because I didn't want to fucking throw it up or drink too strong of a flavor. I don't know what I'm going to be drinking. But with tea, I just fucking threw it at myself. Which is fine. It's just fucking tea. But I couldn't do it. I won't do it again. That's for sure. Tea, bad. But I drank it because my coworker made it for me, and I didn't want to feel bad. So I drank it, and it did help, I will say. It was hot, so it definitely cleared up my throat and my sinuses and stuff. Pretty dope, but it wasn't enough. So I got breathe right strips. And the next day, which was yesterday, I go to work with the breathe right strip on my nose, and I just keep it on the entire time. And I don't know if this is what caused it, but I feel like it has something to do with it, because at one point I need to sneeze because my nose is a little itchy. Also, this entire time, my eyes are watering like crazy. I had such dry but watery eyes. I don't know if it's because of the breathe right strip making my nose feel all tingly, but either way, what ultimately happens is I go to sneeze at one point in the day. And I sneeze, and I see a little bit of blood go on my arm, because that's where I go to sneeze. I didn't have a napkin, so I was just like, oh shoot, into my arm. And there was a little bit of blood. I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I go into the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, let me just clean that up. Let me wipe my nose. And I put the napkin to my nose, and that starts the faucet that was my nosebleed that day. For 10 minutes, it took me 10 minutes to get that fucking nostril to stop bleeding to such an extreme level. It was the drippiest faucet the world's ever seen. It was fucking, it wasn't like, it was just a disaster. I mean, it happened so fast. It got over the floor, got on the counter, it got on my arm. My hands were covered in blood. There was so much blood. There was just so much blood. Like, I don't understand how there could be so much blood. But there was. And I put the napkin in. I like clog it. I like stuff it into my nostril. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Just work with it. Figure it out. And I like clean the ground, and I take the thing out, and there's a huge little congealed ball of blood, which is the fucking coolest but nastiest thing in the world. So I threw that away, and it just kept coming. If there was not a napkin on the thing holding it, it would keep coming out, and I could feel it soaking up, because then it would like go around the napkin, like hit my nose and stuff. It was a fucking mess. It was just a 10-minute onslaught of blood from my nose. It was awful. And I took the breathe right strip off like halfway through that, and then it started to cool down. So I don't know if the breathe right strip was like letting in more of like glass particles or something that made my nose just fucking go to hell. But hot damn, it was a wild day, and but blood's pretty easy to clean, surprisingly enough. It didn't really take that long to get it off the wall, or not the wall. It wasn't on the wall. I didn't fucking smear it around, make a painting or a sign or a vigil or whatever. But it was just a wild time, a very wild time. And with that, this week in retail comes to a close. Pretty long segment. I apologize, but a lot happened, and I just wanted to talk about it. God, my mouth hurts. I tried scheduling a dentist appointment, but the place I live, there's not a whole lot of dentists, so I have to wait till fucking February, so that's fun. But it's whatever, I don't care. I've had tooth pain before, and I've not gone to a dentist in years, so you know, it's whatever. It's honestly kind of expected. Please just complete your patient for. Okay, yeah, sorry. They sent me a message in the middle of this. Every time I have all my notes on my phone, and as a result, I look at my phone a lot while I'm talking to you guys, and I keep getting messages and pop-ups and shit from like friends or just my coworkers or whatever, and I always get distracted. So I apologize for every time you hear me drifting off, talking about something not related. That's what's happening, like 99% of the time. But yeah, so today, as you can see from the title, Failing House Essentials. What does this mean? I bet you're wondering. Let me tell you what that means. Things like what I talked about before, the internet. The internet is a thing. Essentially, failing house essentials just mean the times that the things in your home that shouldn't fail or you don't want to fail on you, which happens a lot more than you should expect in my house, in my household with my family. It's a very strange time to be in. But the internet's one of them. This has been happening for the past who knows how long. But there's just certain times in certain days, which are completely random, where the internet just decides, I don't feel like working. And it will just go off. And we can reboot it, we can reset it, we can do whatever, and it'll just stay off. And I'm like, oh, I guess we just have to wait. Like, we call, and they're like, oh, it should be working. I'm like, well, it ain't. And they're like, oh, well, have you tried rebooting? I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh, well, sorry, we can't help you. And then after like a couple hours, it'll just go back on randomly. And I'm like, okay, fucking whatever. You know, it works now, I guess. We're fine. But these past 2 days, and like around when I started getting sick, and the main reason why I couldn't say anything or like upload anything is because the internet just went down one day on Tuesday. I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put something on my TV while I get ready to, get up and stream and stuff. But it wouldn't work, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And I go to my phone, it's connected but with no internet. So I'm like, oh no, it's whatever. Hopefully it passes. Didn't pass for a couple hours. I'm like, okay, I can't stream today. I'll stream tomorrow. It's fine. I come home from work, it's still off. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. And you know what happens? I wake up the next day, and it was still off. It was still not working. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, whatever. You know what? I mean, I have a lot of things I want to do. Some of them require some internet. So so I like to be able to do it at some point. But I was fully expecting Friday to be the day I get it back. I was like, you know what, maybe they just didn't, maybe some payment didn't go through, and we'll figure it out on Friday or whatever. But for whatever reason, it just went back on. They said they called and like they figured like troubleshooting with the guy and the thing, and they just needed to like full reboot the router, which I don't know what that means. I don't know if we did it already or not. I wasn't there when they called. I just came back home from working yesterday, and bam, internet was working, and I was a joyful boy. But yeah, it just sucks when it doesn't work, especially for me, because I like do a lot of things I like to do require internet. I want to talk to my friends. I want to play games with my friends. They're all in Brooklyn. Can't do it without internet. If I want to do something on YouTube, gotta need the internet. If I want to watch something on this stupid freaking Amazon Fire Stick controlled television, I need the internet. And it sucks when you don't have it. But internet is one of the many things, and eventually, with the internet, most like most of these things, they do get fixed in time. They will fix it either themselves, or you need to fix it, which usually costs a fuck ton of money. One of those things in particular is power, ladies and gentlemen. Because who doesn't have who doesn't have power? A lot of people, actually. It's incredibly sad to think about. But we're not going to dwell on it, because that's sad. We're here to talk not sad. So, for me with power, it's very interesting. Like, back in Brooklyn, power was never really a problem. Like, it would go out when everyone else's went out, it would go back on when everyone else's went back on. It wasn't the end of the world, you know? Like, it wouldn't be off for long, and when it was off, it wasn't a big deal. But around here, in this good old place, it just cuts out sometimes. Like, there's days, like, I assume it's because of the weather, which most of the time it is because of the weather, or sometimes it's just because we use too much power. I'm like, shit, just flip the switch in the breaker, and then bada bing bada boom, it's all back on. But there was one time in particular where the power just cut, and it was a weird time. And it was actually very close to this time last year. It was right around when I decided I'm gonna stop making stuff for a couple weeks so I can work on the Cheermas videos. Literally, as I announced that, the next day, me and my sisters were going out to a big Walmart around here to just go Christmas shopping and some stuff like that, and just have a fun time going to Walmart. And we get a call from my mom, and she's like, hey, I might have fucked up. I was vacuuming with the cord plugged into the same outlet as the laundry was going, and the power went out. And we're like, oh shoot, I'm sorry, did you flip the switches? And she's like, nope, I'm too scared to do that. I don't want to break anything. I'll let you guys do it when you get back. You're gonna be back soon. Like, we literally just left. We're still like gonna be like an hour or two. And she's like, oh, okay, it's fine. I'll just stay in the dark. And she did. We didn't really try to hasten up. We were wanting to go to browse and have a good time, and we did. It was very great. We got some stuff, and we came back home fully expecting to just be like, you flicked the switch, and then there you go. It's working. Everything's great. And so we got back into the room, and we flicked the switch. And hey, the light in the one of the rooms went on or something. I don't entirely remember what went on to signal, hey, power seems to be working. Cool, back to normal. Let's just go watch some stuff in the living room. Great. And we go to turn on the TV. TV don't want to turn on, and we're like, oh, that's strange. Well, okay. We'll unplug some stuff. We troubleshooted. Nothing went on. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I flicked the light in my room, which is where the outlet with the breaker box thing is. That the light worked fine. And we're like, oh, okay. Well, my power seems to be working. So I don't know why that stuff isn't working. Eventually we noticed that some of the outlets in the kitchen don't work. The bathroom, I think, worked. I don't remember. It was a year ago now, so it's a little bit foggy in my brain. But there were essentially certain outlets in certain rooms didn't work, lights in certain rooms didn't work. And I go into my room, the light flicks on, and up to this point, light meant, okay, all the power works. Let's just go into my room and we'll watch something while until we can call somebody to come out here and figure it out. Cool. You know, whatever. It's fine. I don't mind people in my room or anything like that. And I go to turn on the TV and I'm like, oh, guys, never mind. This doesn't work. It's broken. I don't know why, but it's not working. And inevitably that night concludes with us going into the living room, watching Hell's Kitchen on one of my sister's tablet while we wait for my older brother to come home so we can make an appointment with like a technician or an electrician or whoever the fuck comes to fix that. But for several days, we essentially for like a few days, random like just things in our house didn't have power. It was the weirdest thing. Like, for my room, I had lights. That was cool. But none of my outlets worked. So for like 5 days, because it took, I don't know why, I guess during December, a lot of people fuck up their electricity, so you couldn't have someone come over right away. But for like 5 days, my lights worked. None of my outlets worked. I was just in misery. The bathroom, the lights worked, the outlets worked, which is weird because the bathroom's literally directly adjacent to my room. So if those outlets worked and that light worked, why don't the outlets in this room work? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. My sister's room, the lights didn't work. I think like one or two of the outlets worked. The living room, the lights didn't turn on, but the freaking like one outlet worked, but the other ones didn't. I didn't understand. It was the weirdest fucking thing. Apparently, the wiring in this house is just an absolute fucking nightmare. But ultimately, what I did find out, like the day before the electrician is supposed to show up, is that there's an outlet behind where I had my bookcase, like on the wall. That I was like, okay, well, that one's the closest one to the bathroom, which has everything working. If any outlet in this room might work, it might be that one. Who knows? And I wiggle my bookcase out. I grab an extension cord. It's not long enough, but I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I want to try anything. I want to plug anything in. And lo and behold, that outlet works. Why? Why is one outlet in this house, in this room, specifically sanctioned away from the other outlets? And it's the most inconvenient one. What is the purpose of that? Who wins? I mean, I guess I did, because I was actually able to do stuff. I literally had to drag my entire setup a couple like inches towards that outlet in order to make everything get plugged in okay. But it did, and I was like, okay, cool. I can finally start working on videos for this thing. Great. And then the next day, the guy comes, and we're like, oh, hey, our house is kind of fucking weird. The breaker box is all messed up. It's gonna cost a lot of money. And we're like, oh, we don't have all that money. And they're like, oh, well, that's tough. So another day goes by, and eventually, we call another guy, and they're like, okay, yeah, well, we will come in and just do some quick stuff. Only costs like a few $100. It's like, okay, way better than the other guy's offer. Come on in, see what you can do. He just put some juice in it, and lo and behold, everything started powering up and working again. I don't know what the fuck he did, but everything started working. He was like, I don't know how long that's gonna last for. It could be like days, it could be months. It might not ever need I never need to be here again. I don't know. And we're like, okay, well, that's all we need. Thanks, bye. And since then, that's been the situation. We've just been kind of living off of the juice that guy has flooded in. Actually, not a few months ago, it happened again, but it was the whole house. So then they had to come in and fix some stuff, and now it's been working pretty consistently. But I've been so afraid to overuse the power, because ultimately what caused that was my mom using the vacuum and the dryer at the same time. So anytime I hear the dryer, which you guys probably hear too, I get terrified. I'm like, okay, what things can I turn off in my room? What things do I not need plugged in? Like, I'm super, energy savvy now. Not because I like bills or whatever, but because of sheer fear of the power just going out. It's terrifying, honestly, because power, when you have it, you really push your life towards the fact that you have power. Like, oh, I'll do these things on these days because I have power. I'll do this because I have power. It's just you expect power, so you plan your day with the power in mind, working and functional, which sucks when it doesn't. But yeah, That was the one big thing. Like, there's been times, obviously, where, like, we used too much. Flick the switch. Power worky. That's when power's working. When it's not working, and the breaker box doesn't fucking work, that's when the problem actually happens. And then, of course, we have one of the best things to get broken, because it always causes so many more issues. Plumbing. Plumbing. Water. Oh dear God. First of all, not necessarily a plumbing issue, but there's not been one place I've ever lived, and I've only ever lived in two places. It's not that much of like a set data range, but also it's enough to really be confused. Not one place I've lived in so far has had working hot water in the bathroom sink. Like there's the handle, you turn it, it don't do shit. It literally just doesn't make water happen. I don't know why. I don't know who the fuck thought, oh, let's just not use the hot water. Let's just not plug the hot water tube into the hot water faucet or whatever. It doesn't make water. It doesn't just make cold water. Like, it just doesn't produce water. And it never even gets close to heating up. If you turn on the cold water and turn on the hot, it doesn't get hot. If anything, it gets fucking colder because it's just cold water getting blown in your hands. I like washing my hands with cold water, so I don't care. But it's annoying because, like, especially recently, like, my sister has been trying to, like they have, like, long-haired guinea pigs, so you need to bathe them, like, not too frequently, but frequently enough where you gotta do it. And they need warm water. They don't want to bathe them in cold or super hot water. So they can't boil water. They can't just fucking... And they can't get the water from the bathroom, which is where they want to bathe them in. They want to use this sink or, like, a little tray. You have to, like, microwave some water and be like, okay, this is good. It's now no longer warm, but hold on, let me just go spend 3 minutes microwaving some more water. Hold on, I'll be right back. And it's annoying. It's very annoying, but it's fine. I don't really care too much. It's not the biggest thing in the world. However, there was one recent event where the warm water, hot water, whatever you want to say, just didn't work anywhere in the house. And we're like, oh, that's strange. But I say we, I mean my family. I shower with cold water. I wash my hands with cold water. Everything I do is cold water, so I don't ever even really notice the heat. I never really noticed that the heat isn't, that the water heater's not working. So when they realize the water heater's not working, they're like, oh shoot, that's really annoying. Let's get someone to try and fix it. And inevitably, and they come, I think when I'm at work, so I don't even get to see what's going on. But I come back and they're like, yeah, the heater is just completely fucked. We need to completely replace it or something, because it's not good anymore. So we turned it off, so you don't got water going to it anymore or something. But yeah, this thing needs to get the fuck out of there. And of course, where is the water heater in our house? I bet you're asking. Not, because I never really mentioned that. It's a big ass, like, if you don't know what a water heater is, it's like a fucking huge tube, like a big container metal that you put water in and it heats up and shit, and it goes around the house or whatever. I don't really understand exactly how it works, but it's a big ass container for water to go into that it'll eventually become hot. But what happens is this thing that they went to go investigate, the only way to access it is through my sliding closet that you see behind me in my videos. There's like a panel on the very left hand side that you need to pry open in order to look at it. And the thing is, the person who worked on this place figured, oh, they won't need to look at that ever, so they nailed that board down. They nailed it down to the wall. So in order to see this fucking water heater, they had to, like, rip it off the wall a good chunk. So there was just a bunch of, like, wall debris all over my shit in the closet. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I didn't really care too much. I was just like, oh, that's really annoying. And then they were like, okay, we're going to come on this day to get a whole new one in there. You need to get all this stuff out of here. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Whatever. It's, you got to do it, right? So I do. And that's when I started realizing that the water heater wasn't just not working. It was leaking. And it leaked all over, like, that whole left half of my closet. The whole floor was super wet. Everything that was touching the floor was very wet. And, like, the TV stand I got in there, my TV's in there, freaking water damaged to hell. I still have it because I don't. It's not like it's super soggy. You know, it still holds up, but like it's very clearly very wet. Well, it was. It was like a couple months ago now, but it was just an interesting situation. And also, it was causing a lot of just like gross shit because it was carpeted in there, so it's just wet, mold, like not moldy. I don't know if it's mold, but it's like wet, warm, mushy water in the fucking closet. And it's like, oh yeah, there's no like air coming in, so it's just kind of settling there and making gross shit happen. I cleaned that out, and it took so long. It looks nice now, but it was so disgusting. And eventually they came, they ripped the panel off the wall, and it was also soaked at the bottom, like it barely stood up when they took it out. And they're like, okay, so we got the thing in there, I would keep that panel out for a couple days just to let it dry, and then you can put it back. And my immediate thought was, well, why don't I just buy a new panel from like Home Depot? Why don't I just get like a piece of wood and just fucking put it there? Which is something I don't do, because I'm like, fuck it, I don't care, man. It's just give me the thing. And I had to keep all my shit out of my closet for like 3 more days because I needed the room to put that back. And so it gets to the point where, okay, it's not super wet, I'm gonna go put it back. And it doesn't really stand up right anymore because it's been so fucking waterlogged, and now it's like kind of in half because they had to pry it off the wall, which ultimately made them bend the top half a lot, so it barely even stood up on its own. I had to do what they did when they first put it in, which was nail it down. I had to freaking literally, like, fucking nail it into the wall because it wouldn't stay up anymore because it was so broken because the guys who took it out fucking brutalized it. They did not care about the thing at all. They didn't take a hammer and, like, pry out the nails. They just fucking karate chopped the middle of it and took each part out and went, okay, this is good. So, and the only thing that worried me about that, I wouldn't care at all if it wasn't for that fact that I have cats in my house, and they are incredibly curious. So literally, I'm not even joking, the first moment that closet was open again, and I was able to put the panel in there, there's still a little bit of, like, hole showing that I was like, okay, if I put all my shit in front of it, they won't go towards the hole. Soup, my lovely little boy, Curious George, he fucking immediately wanted to go towards the hole, and I had to yank him out of the closet. And since then, he's not tried. And since then, I have blocked it even harder to make sure he will never try. But it's because it's hot water. It's just a fucking tank of hot water. That's gonna fucking cook him up on the spot if he touches it, probably. Don't want that to happen. So, just a whole lot of fucking problems came from that. And it wasn't even just a water heater. It leaked into everything. Everything got water damage. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. But it's fine now, I think. Who knows? There've been a lot of other plumbing issues in this house specifically. Like fucking the first week when I left for college, the bathroom sink. Just one day, a pipe underneath, like, the cabinets and stuff just fucking burst, and water was flooding into the bathroom and into the hall outside the bathroom, and they had to spend hours cleaning that. They had to call, fucking no plumber was emergency that fast, so my mom just called her brother to come over and, like, figure it out, because he's not, like, a handy man. I don't think it's his job, but he knows what to do. So he did it, and he fixed it, but it's like, great, this is awesome. But yeah, it was just fucking wild. I wasn't there, so I can't testify to how crazy it was, but there's apparently just a fucking ton of water gushing out of the fucking bathroom, and everyone was like, towel, we ran out of towels, just use your shirt, take off your shirt, put it on the thing. It was fucking crazy. There have been times where the outside water stuff, we just, like, the toilets, like, the pipes would leak, and they'd be like, oh, you have to replace all the pipes? And we're like, no, we don't have that money. Like, oh, well, so tough luck. And we call somebody else, and like, oh yeah, we'll just replace, like, the things that need to be replaced, because everything else is kind of, like, in pretty good shape, honestly. I don't know why you want to replace everything, unless it's, like, you just want to, like, upgrade, so that way it's safer for the future, I guess. Which we should do, but we don't have the money to do that, so we're not going to do that, at least for now. But, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's just kind of wild how incredibly expensive plumbing issues can be too, but also just fucking annoying they can be, because you don't realize, again, with water, you don't realize how much you use water. I don't think anyone really does. Within an hour I will the average hour for me is going to the bathroom is somewhere in there. I like maybe like 3 hours. Every 3 hours, I at least will probably go to the bathroom to either poop or pee or whatever it may be, brush my teeth, whatever it is. And whatever the case, you go in there, you use the toilet, you flush it. There's some water used, and also while it's like reverbing itself. The sink, you got to wash your hands. As long as that water's running, you're using water. If you're brushing your teeth, you need water with that. Every little thing a person will do. If you just want to wet a napkin, you need water. Where does that water come from? Probably the sink. You need water so much. And not having it or having it leak, holy hell, it creates so many issues. It's wild. It's a wild time, water, you know? Fucking hate that guy. I also love that guy. Favorite drink. Last story I have for plumbing before I move on to like the final couple subjects. We're running very, very, we're long on this episode. But my younger brother, when he was a kid, when he was younger, back in Brooklyn, he would clog our toilets almost daily. And it wasn't like, oh, he just takes massive shits. That's me. I take massive shits, and my family hates me because I'll clog the toilet. I'm like, ah, shit, sorry, you know, move on from there. But he wouldn't clog it with dukes. He would clog it with random objects. He would shove tiny toys in there. He would shove toothbrushes in there, whole toothbrushes. He would shove sometimes rocks, coins, anything he could find. Again, this is the place with the shitty plumbing. It's just terrible. It's just a terribly plumbed place. And he'd shove everything down there. And every other night, my dad would have to call a plumber and be like, toilet's clogged, there's some shit stuck in it. And they'd come in, they'd suck some shit out. And there'd be like toys that were yours and be like, oh no, oh no. Or like toothbrushes. Sometimes just whole little bottles of stuff. Like there's like a little bottle, like a travel size bottle, like shampoo, or like even a tube of toothpaste. He'd get it in there and he'd clog it up good. He had a lot of fun just throwing things where they shouldn't go. Like he would go onto the porch or like the balcony and just chuck our stuffed animals into like the bee bush inside of one of my landlord's trees that he had outside. So I would have to go out there and like, open the gate and like get all the fucking stuffed animals out of the bee bush. And I'm glad I never got stung, but every time it was an option. It was a possibility that I was fucking terrified of. But yeah, never fun. But, you know, we're talking about the toilets today. We're talking about the house essentials, and the balcony is not an essential, so we're not going to talk about that. Having a balcony, I will say, not nearly as cool as you think, probably. I mean, we only were out there a few times. One time we tried to get, like, grass. My dad got fake grass to put out there. To which point I put it outside. I just left the rolls outside, and then it rained, and it got all rainy, and it was gross because it was all covered in rain. But that was months after he even bought the damn thing. We pretty much bought it as a maybe. We'll do this one day thing. We never did, and also it got rained on, and I kept getting blamed for why we never put down the cool grass, because otherwise it was just kind of weird and gross out there. But it would have been cool. I would have loved to do it, but I also was a kid who didn't want to do it. But it sounds cool now. But it's weird because like they didn't put it down because it was covered in rain. But it was gonna get rained on anyway. It was outside on a balcony. Of course it was gonna get rained on, but I don't know. You know what? You don't want to get rained on? Furniture. I don't know if you call it a house essential. I feel like maybe heat, maybe, but I don't really have too many heat stories about that. But furniture, every house has furniture to some extent. And the amount of furniture our family has destroyed over the years is kind of just awe-inspiring. There was one time where my mom spent a fair amount of money upgrading everyone's beds. Like we got like bunk beds. She got like a huge bed to put in the living room just to have it there. So like it's like she instead of a couch, because she pretty much like and it was at a point where like she was pretty much the only one who was in the living room. But it was kind of just wild. It was a cool ass big. It was a big, nice bed. Multiple people could sit on it. Multiple people did sit on it. Like 4 of us could sit on that bed at once, and it would be fine. Nothing would happen. It was great. We just there watching Arthur or do anything. We were still like teenagers, but whatever. And we got to keep in mind, we were all teenagers when we had this thing. We all sat on it. We all would just play games. We'd watch shows, watch movies. We'd sit on it in every angle, every spot for hours at a time. One day, me and my brother were sitting on this said bed, and out of nowhere, just one of the corner boards that was holding the mattress up just fucking snapped, like in the corner. So it wasn't like in half. It was like that little corner bit just fucking broke. And how? Just how? Like, we've sat on that thing for hours before that. We've sat on that thing for months before that. I guess it just eventually got tired of people sitting on it and it fucking decided to kill itself. But I don't understand how that happened. It still doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, as a result, we never got a new board. Never bothered really. I think the most we did was we just tried taping it up, which I don't even think we did very well because it still wouldn't work. And eventually, I think we just got rid of the entire fucking thing because my mom was so mad that it was broken. Because she spent a fair amount of money on it. She was like, "Fuck it, I just want it out of my house." And I think it was out of the house. It's hard to say. I honestly can't remember the final layout of that place before we left. I think there was couches, so I don't think the bed stayed very much longer after it broke. But it was a really nice bed. My bunk bed stayed though. I fucking love that bunk bed. It's awesome. I got top bunk, which I wanted until I didn't. Oh, it was cool because it had like little drawers. I put board games in because I had so many fucking board games. But I didn't know where to put them, and they just started kind of flowing out. Now they're all on one big shelf in my closet, but they're still flowing out. I gotta keep buying more. I have a problem. And then recently we got a recliner that within like a week the leg rest just wouldn't go down. I'm like, why is this a thing? I look inside the mechanics of it, like I look underneath and like try to look at it because I've been trying to get more into like fixing things and stuff. Not as like a profession, just more as like I want to make things. You know, I'm cool. I just like I like working with my hands. I look in there. One of the pieces is that like when you fold it up, it like locks back into place. Was completely fucking bent inwards. I don't know how this happened, because obviously it wasn't like that when we first got it, because it wouldn't have been working from day one. It took like a week or two, but the thing literally just completely bent inwards. It was like unable to close. You literally couldn't close it up to a certain point because it just got stuck. Because it was just, I don't understand. I honestly couldn't tell you what the fuck that was or what happened. It just won't working. And it's like, why? And eventually we just had to call the people and be like, yeah, it's fucked up. And they came and got us a new one, which was really nice. But we had to throw away the old one. Which, if you ever had to throw away huge pieces of shit when you live in your own house, and it's not your landlord figuring it out, let me tell you, pain in the ass. At least where we live. Big pain in the ass. But I don't give our landlord any justice, because the last thing I'm going to talk about today is just our shitty landlord. Huge house essential. If you live in an apartment, you need a landlord to pay and house you. And this guy failed more times than I think anyone could possibly ever fail. But there's a lot of things that he did. He stole our bench that our uncle made us that I loved to death. He just took it when he remodeled the outside of the house. It used to be like you could walk around and stand outside the place. It's outside the house. There's like a bench that we put there because there was no bench. He didn't put a bench. He just took the bench. He remodeled the whole thing just to be a really shittily taken care of garden. The dude did not take care of it at all. He just figured, if I put a tree here, it'll look pretty. And he never managed it. I never saw him in there once for like the years that was a thing. He used a bunch of dead plants with a bee bush in it. Fucking awful. It was terrible. He did a lot of really shitty things to that house. But the things that he did to our specific apartment were downright evil. Because we were like pretty much the oldest tenants there. Like we were there the longest. And I think he hated us the most. I don't understand. But because we were there for so long, he was upgrading and renovating a bunch of other rooms in the house. In the apartment. And there was one that he actually let us take a look and see and like look in. I'm like, holy shit, wow, he made this place look really nice. And it's like pretty big and roomy and cozy. And I think the whole premise was he was trying to get us to move down to there at a higher rent cost since it was more like renovated. But also, I think the main reason he wanted to do that was not just to get money out of us, but to renovate upstairs. Because what he would do over time was just, we'd have a problem and he'd fix it by not fixing that problem, but by completely renovating the look of the place. So there was one point, this happened first with our bathroom. Our bathroom, there was only one bathroom in this whole apartment. It was like 2 bed, 1 bath, but it was still pretty big. It had like a nice kitchen on a big living space. It was good. I liked it. Honestly, the space, I didn't have much of a hate for. It was taller ceilings. It was just nice. I liked it. It was good. None of the rest of my family thought it was good, but I liked it. It was enough. But we had an issue with the bathroom. Our plumbing sucked. Our plumbing was the worst. It always clogged. We literally couldn't put cheap toilet paper in it. If you put toilet paper in it, if you put anything that wasn't a bodily thing, it would clog. Even if you put too much of a bodily thing, it would clog. It was terrible. And we're telling our landlord, hey, we would like you to fix the plumbing. I don't know how. We don't know what you're going to do, but fix it. Please call somebody to fix the plumbing, like renovate it. It's terrible. It's not working. And what he ultimately did was he renovated the entire bathroom. He gave us new tiles. He just gave us new appliances. Like the sink was changed out, the toilet was changed. Everything about that bathroom was changed out. The lighting, everything. And that cost him probably a fair amount, but it cost us that whole fair amount, that whole not super fair amount to us. He charged us for the entire renovation, which we didn't want. We only wanted him to fix our plumbing, and the dude's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, but I'm also renovating it, and you're going to pay for the entire thing. Which we did, stupidly. We probably shouldn't have, but if in our brains we're like, oh yeah, we either do that or we just don't have a house, I guess. So yeah, fuck it, I guess we're doing it. It was days of having to go to the fucking Brooklyn Public Library to go take a shit. We'd pee in bottles and bags. It was a fucking weird time while he was renovating that thing. But it did come out nice, don't get me wrong. But we didn't want that. We just wanted the plumbing to work. And lo and behold, he fixed it. He renovated it. And you know what happened? The plumbing was not fixed. He fixed the look of the place. He did not change the plumbing at all. It still clogged through the littlest of things. It was terrible. And then he does the same fucking thing with our kitchen, because our kitchen had old cabinets which just kept, the hinges were super loose and unaligned, so the doors didn't really close very well. And we're like, we would like you to fix, get new cabinets. And I don't know if we're supposed to normally pay for those if we want new ones, but it was very broken, very clearly. So we're like, okay, we just need new cabinets. I think, if anything, we could have paid for the new cabinets. But the dude fucking renovates the entire kitchen, gives us all new shit, makes us pay for it. It's ridiculous, because we didn't want that. He wanted to do it, because I think what he eventually wanted to do was, eventually when we left, he wanted to get a better price for the thing. And also, he kept upping the rent like fucking crazy every time he would do something like that, which is fucked up. So he's a fucked up thing to do. He's a big asshole. Hated him. And also, similar to the bathroom story, with the kitchen, we wanted it because the cabinets were all shitty. He installed arguably shittier cabinets. They looked nicer, but they were still, the hinges were loose, so the doors wouldn't line up properly unless you slammed it on. It was fucking awful. Every single cabinet. Before it was a few of them. This was every single cabinet now. He made it worse. I don't know how you do that. We give you a problem that the place has, and you ruin it. But also make everything else look better in comparison, I guess, to make it look feel like it's a better room. But it's not. He was a shitty landlord who made incredibly horrible decisions to what to do with our house. And ultimately, we got out of there, which is good. Yeah, it's just good. That was July of 2020 when we left, so it's already been 3 years, which is fucking wild to me. It's also it's 3 years since a lot of things, I guess. But yeah, a whole lot of fun stuff. Housing. There's a lot of things that go with a home. Some people think it's family. Some people think it's just a roof over your head. But the more first world you get into, you're like, oh, I expect proper internet. I expect all this power to work. I expect water to work. And Obviously, it's a first world problem. Not everywhere has the luxury of even having water or power just at their house, if they even have a house. But it's annoying. When things go wrong, it's annoying. I don't feel like I shouldn't be able to complain about it. I don't like complaining in general, but I'll gladly just complain in the sake of making a story or just laughing about something. So, I mean, ultimately, all those problems have been fixed, so I don't hate them. I'm not mad about them anymore. I just think they're kind of silly little stories. And from there, I'm going to wrap it up. So thank you all for tuning in to Stranded Deep in Conversation, and I'll see you all next time. Sorry for the long episode, everybody, but I had a lot to talk about, I guess. Bye now.